tried to hold us back, to hold us, tried to hold us back.
We will be here forever. Do you understand?
Hey, it's Shan here. This week, for his second exchange on the show, I speak with Mr. Sid Tapia. Our first recording was online, and since that one last year, it's probably almost a year ago since we first recorded, Sid and I have stayed in regular contact about all things skateboarding, life, religion. We talk about his faith a lot. And he was in Sydney painting some murals. He's a profound artist. He's had a really interesting year, actually. He did some murals of the Matildas when they were competing, and some other awesome ones. He did one of Shane Warne, and it's been quite in the public eye, his artwork of late. And he's sought after. So he was doing some murals in Sydney. We went skating in the afternoon at Redfern with him and all his old homies, which was interesting and fun. And then we went out for some dinner. And then we recorded on the Sunday morning at where he was staying in Balmain in Sydney. And I like doing the morning recordings. People seem to be in a bit more of a vulnerable state in the morning. And so Sid just opens up as he does. He has no fear of that. And I really admire him for that, and admire him for how he does life, actually. He's a good human. So enjoy getting to know Mr. Sid Tapia again. Cheers.
Child of the crayon, child of the light, stars of the neon belong to a culture destined to rock for eons. Time doesn't exist, shut those cataracts, capture the virtualist. Now, let's get back to what makes things seem forever, whether it's unseen, unheard, or it's 16 again. Not a bother, fill this old man river, kill a floor that gives all. Coming upstream, the quiver, six style, easy rock, drop to the floor.
He's over toes guy.
How good is that guy?
Yeah, so I've just been following him a lot more strictly in the last 2 months. Yeah.
You said you've been going to the gym like 5 days a week. You seem quite motivated. What's the catalyst for this?
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, we are. Sorry, dude. I didn't know we were recording yet. That's why I moved away from the mic, because I was like, it's casual.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what's the catalyst for this inspiration to work out a lot more?
Injuries and, predominantly injuries and feeling the injuries when I'm out working, and missing skating so much, like the physical act of skating. Yeah, because I'm always nerding out in skating in my brain, and I'm always skating. I even dream skating and all that. Yeah, I have really good sessions when I'm dreaming, like really good sessions, man. It's so sick. But when I'm, so I'd be out working. I was doing the Matildas job at Howard Smith Wharves, and 2 days before the gig, I just wigged out on a mini ramp, just on a towel store even. And as I came down, threw my shoulder out, because I just went to put my hand down. But as I was coming down, my right hand went to hold itself out onto the coping, and it just took my shoulder out, just a touch. It wasn't big, but it was enough to do something strange. But what it was is that because I haven't been working out for such a long time, there wasn't the usual muscle strength. Like you hit 50 and you definitely start feeling your muscles depleting, and you start seeing more changes in your body. So I had to then paint for maybe 6 days straight after this shoulder injury. And then after that, all the pain kicked in. So I was probably running on adrenaline and stuff, and I just kept going. It was fine, a lot of blood flow going through, so I felt okay. But then afterwards, shoulder was just, maxed out on some injury, and then I'd feel the tendonitis on my arms, and I got like wrist injury from spray painting way too much.
Repetitive strain.
And so basically what that means is when you have repetitive strain, it's your tendons are doing too much work. Your muscles aren't kicking in enough. So I've had to, neutralize my arm. When I say neutral, I mean like I have to keep my arm more neutral so there's more blood flow going through. So it's not being, closed up like a tap. When you get a hose and you squeeze a hose and you can't get water flowing through it. That's what happens when people are doing a lot of repetitive work. They're just bent in one area. So there's not a lot of blood flow going through. So you end up putting the tendons into overdrive a bit. And and that's basically what I'd be feeling a fair bit. And then tendonitis started kicking in. And then that starts playing with your head. And then you start thinking about your future. Then you start thinking about providing for the kids. And then you start thinking about all these things with the misses. And then just the confidence levels start depleting. And you're like, whoa, what's up? And really it's because your body's the greatest tool you'll ever have to be able to do this earth. And in that, I was like, okay, I used to be way fitter, way more disciplined at the gym. And you do realize the benefits from that physically and mentally. And in that, I was like, okay, muscles are depleting, therefore I've got to build them back up again. So that would turn into, mornings, like 5:30 every morning. I start and then go for about an hour. And then about 15 to 20 minutes in the sauna afterwards. I started off with sled work, like pushing sleds for about back and forth, 25 meters forward, 25 meters backwards walking as well. Around the waist, go backwards with the sled with about 40 kg on it. Start off with about 20, then build it up. And then, push it forwards, push it back, forwards, back. And then that's also great for cardio as well as building up your calves, your core, your thighs, all that area, and your feet and your
mobility
your
in your ankles.
Yeah, everything. It's a great workout, and it opens you up, opens your lungs up. You really feel it, dude. It's like it's almost like a shock to the system, as in because it's a quick cardio. It's very quick, like one push back. Suddenly you're feeling it.
Like high intensity, short duration.
Yeah. So then after that, then I just start doing a lot of free weight lifting just to, on the upper body. And
I must admit, when I caught up with you yesterday, I was surprised at how fit you look. Mm-hmm. And then to watch you skate, I was actually surprised at how strong and agile you looked. And was skating for a 50-year-old. I mean, you did a sick line, like nollie nose grind and then fakie 5-0 on a ledge and just like Sid.
Yeah. It's one of those things too, I find, like, if we as people, we do have a sense of confidence about who we are, especially when we're at our peak physically at times, like during our 20s and whatnot. And we carry that with us. And there are reasons why that diminishes, but there's also reasons why that sense of confidence can be maintained. Not so much the physical aspect. Obviously, you'll start getting slower, but that mentality can still be maintained, and it just comes with extra work. And I did grow lax in that area for a while, and that's where in the last 2.5 to 3 months, I've just said, no, I'll just go in, and I have to go in because, one, it's, as I said, it brings confidence in many ways, family to support, and also, in that too, it's, when you end up looking better, you feel more confident, especially to the ones you love as well. There's a sense of strength. You know that your wife looks at you and she sees that you're happy, and you can just, I muck around with her. I'll be there, hey babe, how am I looking? And she's like, you're looking great, my little chunky cookie. We just have fun, and that's wonderful. It's lovely to be able to have fun like that. And now she's getting into it too, which is lovely to see how it's just carrying on. And then the kids see that, and they're like, oh, mum's going to the gym now. Oh, dad's at the gym. Mum's at the gym. Dad's at the gym. They just keep seeing that as a pattern. They're just young, so then it's that living example that you can, pass on to them. And then they see us, wanting to carry through with that with our food and just having that little journey together. And that is, Lord willing, a great example for them to just go, that's cool. I see mum and dad are happy there. I see that they're playing together, doing their thing. This is rad. And it's around go in the gym at separate times. It's not like we go together or anything like that. We do separate things, you know, work at our own pace that way.
In regards to your artwork, are you noticing those this exercise regime is translating into a better quality of work? Or the same?
It's I don't know about better quality of work, because I always put 110% in what I do, and even when I was feeling the injuries, I was working around it. I'd just be pacing myself a little bit differently. But the difference is now I see a greater sense of longevity in what I'm doing. So if I, like the job I'm at the moment, I'm there going, okay, I feel great. Therefore, I'll still pace myself at a nice medium pace, but work intensely at what I'm doing, rather than just going ham and all out, you know, and just being overzealous. Where I found I did do that when I was, you know, say maybe 8 years back. I was just going ham, and then I'm ready for the next job. Or I'd sometimes do, you know, I'd paint sometimes 20 hours straight, and, you know, I'd be painting till the sun rises again, and I'd just be all hyped and amped. And so stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, no, that's not necessary. I can paint long sessions, I'll go. But this is the difference I've found now is I'm able to go, okay, great, body's feeling really good. I'm confident about jobs that come in, and jobs do end up coming in, because a lot of the work I put out there, I just put out, and then it's like fishing, you know, you just throw the bait out and you just see who's going to give you a call, shoot you an email, and you get a job. But in that, I leave my work, I just sort of put it in God's hands. I do great with what I do, and I put it out there, and I'm just like, all right, Lord, it's in your hands. Let's see what comes, so to speak. I've got this fun little way of thinking in my head that, you know, that the Lord's like my, what do you call it? Like my agent, my manager, you know, because I don't have that. I don't have a manager. I don't have someone who represents me or anything.
How do those jobs come about then?
So
God sends you an email?
Yahweh.com. No, I get my work out there. I put as much excellence as I can in the presentation of it. So I'm very much someone who loves to live by the word and be instructed by truth. One of my favorite verses of advice, wisdom, truth, virtue in the Bible is whatever your hand finds to do with all your might. I remember mentioning that on the previous one. Mm-hmm. Whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. So that's basically life 24/7, right? So being a husband, a father, and when it comes to someone in the community, do it with all your might. And what that means is not like do it with so much strength where you're just gnarly. No, you got to attain it towards the greatest power, which is love. So be the most loving, the most compassionate, generous, forgiving, selfless person you can be in all aspects of your life. And that's service, that's discipline.
It's a pretty high standard, though.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that's what's so rad. We're capable of doing it. What an honor. That's what's so sick. Like,
You think we are capable?
Of course. That's why we attain to it. And that's why we're all born towards it. Like my mate Ben Bodner said when he was on, I think it was the morning show. He was about 11 years old. And the host was like, so what's the last words you've got for, he's finished doing a demo in the morning show or some kids show or something. Finished just ripping the mini ramp, and he's like 11, 10, you know, little skate prodigy. So I said, well, what's some advice you got for all the young kids out there that want to aspire to be great skateboarders? And he goes, just remember you're all winners because you won the sperm race. And the host is like, what? Okay. But it's so much truth in that, you know, like we won the sperm race. We've got this sense of wanting to win and attain and be there, you know, and
we were the dominant of that group.
Yeah. So in that, there's something that says, you know, there's a spirit within us that strives for excellence. So I don't live by it as in, okay, if I fall short, suddenly I suck or I'm not good enough. That's not the way to go. No, you got to understand forgiveness, being able to have compassion also on yourself if you fall and slip. It's like a little child. You see a child, you're not going to reprimand it because, you know, it's not putting its food in its mouth properly. You're going to have to work with it. And that's how we have to be as we grow up as well. So going back to what you were saying when it comes to the work, the levels of God sending me an email or whatever, well, no, I put excellence into my work. I go 110%. I want to go the extra mile with my work as well as I'm capable with this body I've got. And then I put that out there. I don't just put out a photo of it. I want to do a photo. I want to do a good video, you know, and present it really well. So everything you do, like, you know, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. Do it with excellence, the spirit of excellence. Put that out there. And then in turn, it's like you're putting out good bait, you know? Put out good bait. You're gonna
Sowing good seeds?
Yeah. You reap what you sow. Yeah, exactly. You reap what you sow. So that's why I'm there saying, okay, I'm honoring, in that way I say, okay, I'm honoring God's word because that's what the word of God says, you know, you reap what you sow. So I honor that. And then in return, something's going to come forth. So in that way, I'm like, oh, wow. That's where I can say by faith, I'm able to go, Lord, thanks, man. Like your word was true there, and now I've got some more gigs, and now I'm sewing into my body. I'm doing this sort of stuff and putting my work to it. So there's a next level of things that I'm doing, and that resonates and that shows towards others, and I'm able to sense it because I'm the one doing the work. So yeah, you put that out there.
Are murals your bread and butter overall?
Yeah.
Or is it commissioned art pieces?
Both. Okay. But the murals a larger chunk of money, and but I do get asked to do commissioned pieces like oil paintings, and they come through as well.
Can we talk about the Matildas experience? Because I mean, that period of time was quite pivotal in our Australian society and culture, I think.
Yeah.
And it was big news, you know, the Matildas, you know, performing so well in the World Cup. And, you know, you had a part in painting players' murals. Can you just tell us where you did it, how it came about, and what the overall experience was like? Because you were very much in the public spotlight for a week there or so, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, I did get approached quite a few months prior about the job. I didn't hear anything for a while. And then, it just came through maybe just 2 weeks beforehand. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So they mentioned Howard Smith Wharves in Brisbane. They actually mentioned a few separate locations for me to go to. And I didn't get to all of them because just, I think on their end, it wasn't as organized as it could be. So we just ended up going with the one location. And it was I don't know, I think because of the way, when it comes to my approach, it was more, I understood the hype around what was going on, but I didn't know much about it because in my world of my life, I don't open myself up to this stuff. I'm very much about my skating, my art, my music, and what I'm building, and my family. That's what I really focus on. So I didn't really know much about the games or all this sort of stuff. But what I do understand is the level of excellence that's necessary for these players to be who they are. And that's what I really love honoring when I paint murals. I look at them and go, okay, you didn't just get to this position just from liking something and just going hard at it. No, I understand the journey. I can touch it. I can kind of understand their journey. And in that, I'm there going, wow, what an honor to paint anyone, really. Anyone, not just not just an athlete or someone in the spotlight, anyone, because everyone's got a journey. Therefore, there's honor within every human being. So in saying that, Howard Smith Wharves is a wonderful place in Brisbane, great location, just where Felon's Brewery is, beautiful part of Brisbane, painted for the players. And the really cool things that were happening as I was painting that is that obviously I'm painting these people that so many people were celebrating, and so many people are inspired because they're really breaking so much ground, especially for the females. And it's wonderful to see how women in sport are being highly elevated, and especially in, like I'm seeing it in my world, I see it a lot in skateboarding. The girls are going off and they're being celebrated, sometimes even more so than the guys, you know. And I saw that with the Matildas, and I'm like, wow, this is this is precious, you know, what's going on here. It was so great that I think it was the fourth day I'm painting, and I started working on Rizzo, one of the players, and I only painted her eye. I'd only started on her eye. That was it, just the one eye, and the rest was nothing. And these little kids come by and they're like, oh, that's Rizzo. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought I'm doing something good here, because they can just, two little girls, they were probably about 8 years old, and they looked at her eye and they said it was Rizzo. I'm like, yeah, that's really good. But what it showed me is like these young girls are fans. They're looking at these girls and they're going, whoa, these are the people that I'm inspired by. They didn't look like they play soccer. I don't know. They didn't seem like it. But the thing is that even my girls and their circle of friends, they knew about the Matildas, and all they see is just rad girls doing rad stuff, and that brings them a sense of, you know, hype and
empowerment.
Yeah, empowerment, inspiration, and stuff.
How'd your daughters feel about it?
Loved it. Yeah, they were so hyped and proud of me and that sort of stuff as well. But they're just excited, you know. And then the cool thing was that those girls came by, then they left, and then I'm painting, and then I hear two voices behind me speaking, and I hear one of them go, that's me. I turn around and I was like, oh, there you are. And it was her, it was Rizzo and one of the other players. And I was like, no way. And then we got to talk, and they were lovely. We chatted, and she felt very like shy and sort of overwhelmed a bit.
How was she reacting to it? Was it humility, embarrassment, shy?
Yeah, a bit of both, but
stoked.
You know,
stoked?
Yeah, because I see it's funny when I see a lot of girls these days. I love seeing them through my daughter's eyes as well.
Okay.
So I see sometimes I see, you know, older women or women my age, and I like to look at them through the eyes of through the eyes of my children at times, and you just still see that sweet, beautiful person that they are. But you also, I don't know, I like imagining them as like younger kids and how rad they were when they were younger, and addressing them that way as well. But I saw that in her. She was like this little kid that was like, oh, wow, this is cool, you know, and she's looking at herself, but a bit overwhelmed that there's this larger-than-life picture of herself. And then it's just so happened that day a lot of the Matildas were walking because they had a game that night. So then who came by next? Sam Kerr came by. And then,
so can you just clarify which players did you actually paint?
Yeah, so Sam Kerr, Rizzo...
Mary Fowler and Hayley, I forgot her name right now. I've gone. No, isn't it? It starts with an R as well. No,
maybe. Oh gosh, I feel like I've got to do it right here. Sorry.
Let's get it right. Yeah, you want me to look it up?
Here we go. So it was. You probably got other people that may know it by now. Here she is. Katrina Gorey.
Thank you.
Yeah,
because it's Hayley Rizzo, I think it was. Is that right?
Yeah. So, yeah, Hayley or Rasso. Yeah. Sorry about that. And then when Mary Fowler came by, she was so lovely because she came by with her mum. And her mum was just so hyped.
As a parent,
it was so wonderful, because I just saw this lovely lady that's just so proud of her daughter, wanting to shoot photos and, of her and then of us. And then she opened up her wallet to give me her phone. And, you just see a little photo of Mary when she's a little kid, that she carries around with her.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is so sweet. And she travels with her mum everywhere, and, they do their thing. And it was just lovely seeing that that mother-daughter dynamic still just being nurtured within their chaos world of soccer, you know. I was like, yeah, it's special.
You know, you said you feel like when you paint someone that you really respect the dedication that they've had to put into what they do, and that's at the forefront of your mind when you're actually doing the paintwork, that you like, you know, you want to respect that and honour that.
Yeah.
Is that putting pressure on you? Like, do you feel pressure because of that? So
Yeah,
let me
I know what you mean.
because I'm sort of leading into the fact that you recently did an artwork of Shane Warne, who's like profoundly iconic in Australia, and obviously has passed, and you want to honour him in your work. Like, is that placing great pressure on you when you're doing it, or
not so much, because I don't do it for the applause of the people.
Interesting.
You know, I don't do it like I don't do it in the hope that I don't do it in like I do. Obviously, I do hope that family and friends would love it, but I've got a confidence in knowing that they will love it, and I'll get to the reason why.
Okay.
So when I painted the Andrew Simons and Shane Warne piece, I knew this is an extremely special moment. Two beloved cricketers that have passed away, they were mates, and here they are in this embrace, celebrating. I knew it's going to touch a lot of hearts, and especially, you know, I couldn't imagine, you know, like what it would be like for a loved one to see something like that. But I could imagine it would definitely, you know, pull some serious heartstrings there. So, but what I do, my approach isn't like, oh man, I better get this right. I'm not feeling that pressure at all. No, I feel the honor of going, wow, I get to paint someone that's fearfully and wonderfully created. And in that, I'm like, man, how awesome is this? I get to partake in this wonderful creation. I get to collaborate with, for me, the way I see it, I go, wow, I get to collaborate and touch upon something that God's already fearfully and wonderfully created. Like, God's been able to create this human being that actually has life and is animated and moves and does all this stuff. And all I'm doing is this two-dimensional work of that. How cool. I get to partake in that. It's like a collaboration.
So, like, you're honouring God's creation.
Yeah, and who else, who greater loves that human being than the maker himself? Like, who greater knows the creation more than the creator? Like, the creator knows the creation like back to front. You know what I'm saying? So I'm there going, wow, I get to touch upon that. Awesome. So there is a sense of like healthy fear.
Okay.
But more towards like wanting to bring honor.
Not like I'm going to let the person, whoever's paying me, I'm going to let them down.
No.
You're not worried about that?
No, because
Interesting.
Because I believe if I'm honoring the greatest, then anything else underneath that is going to be well looked after. You know, so that's how I look about it. I'll go, okay, you know, audience of one, so to speak. Like, I really live by that sense of saying do all. There's a verse as well that says, "Do all things as unto the Lord." Do all things as unto the Lord. Like, imagine you were about to. If I said, "Hey, Shan, you're going to cook breakfast for the king of, I don't know, some country,
Malta.
He wants you to cook him breakfast. How are you going to present that? You know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, whoa, okay, how am I going to, this better be excellent, this better be great. Whereas if I said, hey, dude, can you just cook us a bit of, if we woke up, or if we lived together and I was like, hey, Shane, sorry, bro, I'm in a mad rush. Do you mind just cooking me some eggs or something? He'll be like, yeah, so pop. But King of Malta, he'll be like, oh my goodness. And this, you know.
Interesting.
So in that's how I try to attain that, like when I'm painting or when I'm trying to live life. Now, obviously we all fall short and we stumble and all this sort of stuff. But I'd rather do that. I'd rather say, well, look, I'm going to do this painting. Lord, I'm painting one of your creations here. He was so loved amongst the community, this and that. Of course, I understand that. But it's like, here I'm presenting something the king, so to speak. You know,
As a Christian, like you're required to deny yourself of a lot of things, aren't you?
things that won't be good for you, for
Yeah.
sure, and why not?
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
Well, I'm setting
For sure.
I want
That's so
to
rad.
set the question up. Like, yeah, Christians have to sacrifice things.
But there's not a have to there. That's
Oh,
that's what's
okay.
interesting.
Choose to.
Not even choose to.
Interesting.
It ends up working through you. Like that's the whole thing. That's what I end up realizing throughout. It's not a have to thing. That's what people, I understand in the world, could see it like, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to do anything. Because if God is God and if God is your father, then your father's job is to discipline his child and to love him and nurture him as he goes through his journey. And it's up to you to just stay close to your father and that's it. Like, and because you love your father. If you love your father, you want to stay close to your father. And guess what's going to happen? He's going to rub off on you.
Where does the fear come from then?
Fear is just like
Fear of retribution?
No, fear is like, whoa, dude, that's my dad, man. You know, like,
I used to be
dude.
scared of my dad.
Well, yeah, like we all have. We've all got, like, a lot of us can have that fear because of certain things. But I'm saying, innately, everyone has an aspiration to want to love this father figure who is heroic. We aspire to greatness as humans. So therefore we looked, and yes, many examples of fathers and mothers, they fall short and we get disillusioned and we rebel and we go off track.
But they're human.
Of course, yeah.
And humans are flawed.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, like, you know, okay, well, I'm trying to think how I can rephrase this question because I want to sort of ask, like, in the course of your life, you've learnt that the things you have to, or not have to, like, the denying of yourself, of your human ways at times, is that easier than the other version of life where you don't, you know, like, because, okay, like, I understand life is, man, I'm stuffing this question up. Life is difficult when you try to live it on your terms.
Yeah.
But when you're endeavoring to live by God's word is also challenging.
It is, but
do you think it's easier than the other option?
It is if you have.
That's my question.
It is if you have the nature to do it. It's the only reason why Jesus said you must be born again of spirit and water.
And that's the nature change.
That's a nature change.
Okay, gotcha.
It's that's what people need to understand. It's not about you have to do this. You have to. It's not. If you understand how good Christ is, how good God, like, we understand how good God is because we understand how good Christ is. We have to see a living example of it. So I would say, dude, look into the life of Christ. He's the greatest phenomenal human being ever, flawless human being. It bewilders me why people don't look into his life. It's the most profound, famous book in the world. It's accessible to everyone, but I wonder why we don't want to just open up and read it. We'll go to Anthony Robbins, we'll go to Joe Rogan, we'll go to Peterson, we'll go to this, we'll go to that. Dude, all these lads are flawed. There's one person that came through history, even outside sources that claim to his greatness and his divinity, and still people don't go there. And I understand the reason why is because ultimately they believe they're going to have to give up things and you're going to have to do this and have to do it. And that's not the case because he does the work. There's nothing that you do. All you got to do is believe, which is why the most famous verse in probably Christianity is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. The word believe, okay, whoever believes in him, didn't say whoever does what he commands, whoever stops their life. No, he said whoever believes in him will not
That's all we have
perish
to do.
but have eternal life. But the word believe isn't just what we attribute to saying, no, I believe
it.
I know, I believe in my children, or I believe in I believe in Jesus. No, that's not. They're saying, the word believe. When you look at the root word of the word believe, there,
okay,
It actually means what you adhere to, what you cling to, and in turn, it produces obedience. Think about that. The believe means what you cling to, what you're actually clinging to, what you adhere to, right? And in turn, what's going to happen? Whatever you cling to in human life, whatever you adhere to, whatever you cling to, whatever you meditate on, you end up becoming obedient to that thing. It ends up rubbing off on you.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Definitely.
Yeah. So Jesus is saying, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. He gave his only son that whoever believes in him will not perish but have eternal life. But he gave like Christ gave himself as a sacrifice, as a ransom. He took upon all the weight of sin and punishment on his life, so that when you see that love, that someone's taken the bullet for you for the things that you deserve, you end up realizing, dude, I've got a loving Father that's willing to take the hit for me. I've got a loving Creator who's willing to take the hit for me. We are so blinded in our pride that we don't want to go there. That's the issue.
I think that's where I find it interesting is the criticism that people have without research or education. And I had it even recently. Someone was criticizing and then backed it up with, oh, mind you, I've never opened the Bible. I was like, that's interesting, and I could be, I'm guilty of that as well over the years. So, but it's in everything in our society at the moment. People will just point the finger, criticize, blame shift.
Yeah. Because they
without any investigation.
Totally. Or because they saw an attractive meme and it's like, really? Like we're going to depend on a meme to be able to educate us?
Meme smart. And it's a real thing these days.
Yeah, and it's a real unfortunate thing. You can definitely get a taste of some stuff, but it just takes a little bit more diligence to be able to go in and do that extra bit of research, which is why people growing up to the understanding of not really taking too much consideration about what happens in mainstream media. Like, because the mainstream media, obviously being Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, all that sort of stuff, people are able to throw all their critiques and their opinions and their backlashings on that. It's like, well, yeah, a lot of the time, if you're going to go that ham on those platforms, it's because you really don't understand the broader subject. If you're going to throw in a critique or an opinion or slander, we haven't really done the due diligence, not so much in the subject, but in the understanding of love within humanity's context.
Yes.
Because then empathy and compassion it goes awry there. If we understand the broader aspect of understanding humanity, love, and we look to where it was best exemplified, and that's obviously going back to Christ. When we look at that, then, dude, that starts rubbing off on you. When you understand who when you get your eyes off other so-called, influencers or leaders, think about it. They're called influencers. They're called leaders. So where are they leading you to? What are they influencing you towards? Okay? That's what they're called. It's there in front of you. That's their title. And we give ourselves to that. Therefore, we're going to walk within their world. I get it. That's cool. There's some things to take. But I'm there saying, okay, now prioritize who's your main leader. I would rather have my creator. I would rather have my dad, my father, as my main leader. Influencer. Exactly, dude. So that's why I put him first. That's why when I wake up every morning, I'm like, I'm going to go to the source, man. Why would I go to these other dudes that are flawed first? I go to those other dudes because some of them are entertaining. Some of them are great within world affairs and whatnot.
But can we clarify? You've tried the other way. You've tried these other ways.
Oh, yeah.
In your past life. And I always find it interesting that it almost takes, not all the time, but a lot of the time, people to hit a rock bottom before they start believing.
Yeah, that's right.
And it drives them in that direction to ask bigger questions. But do you feel like people need to hit a rock bottom to find that connection?
Not so much a rock bottom that
Of sorts.
I think because a rock bottom could look different.
Okay.
In many ways, it could be a financial rock bottom. It could be the family dynamic breaking up. It could be drugs, ODing, or it could simply be all of these things that I just mentioned. States of humility, like you're humbled. You're brought low.
Your pride and your ego have just been belted.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that could happen in many different circumstances. So when that happens, when you're that far down, where's the only way to look?
Exactly.
Up.
Yeah.
And I'd rather get through all the noise and the clouds and get to the real thing and go, yes, let me be influenced by the right thing. And it's definitely could be challenging. Yes, Christ did say, if you want to be my disciple, you got to deny yourself, take up your cross and follow me. So there is that denial of self.
That's what I was trying to get to at the very start of that question.
Yeah. But what that's
hard though.
But what that is you submitting, so to speak. And what I mean by submission, it's not like I have to do this. I've got to be set to do this. Otherwise, God's this angry, vengeful God that's going to send me to hell. It's like, no, we're already reaping what we sow. We're already destined to a bad destination. People say, oh, well, but I'm good. It's like, I'm a pretty good person. Dude, that understanding can be smashed in a second. I could simply just say, hey, well, have you ever lied before? You ever stolen? You ever cheated? You ever looked at someone with lust? We're all guilty of those things. As you said, we're all flawed. If you say you're good, that means you believe you're perfect and you have access towards greatness or whatever.
You think you're God.
Exactly. And a lot of people do have that self-confidence within themselves. But then humility comes, and it's a better position to be in, because then you end up realizing you're a child. You end up realizing, wow, I'm a child. How beautiful are children. And going back to Christ, he says, if you want to enter into the kingdom, you've got to be like one of these little ones. Look at children, the way they play, the way they get along, the way they don't even think about things that we as adults think about or confront. And what a wonderful way to live. Now, that's humility. When you understand that you as a human being are fearfully and wonderfully created, like you are so phenomenal. Your eyes, your hair, your fingers, your toes, everything. You're so beautifully created. You're a phenomenon as a creation. Where did that come from? It's not a random accident, because every wonderful design points to a wonderful designer. It is the most obvious thing in life, and still our pride gets in the way and says, nah, I believe, we come out of this and we evolve into that, and this. It's like, oh my goodness.
A really interesting observation I've seen over the years is with people who suffer from substance addiction. And a big common one is they keep relapsing.
Yeah.
And they try and they try and they try.
Yeah.
To get sober or off drugs off their own volition, and they'll do it for years.
Yeah.
They'll go for a period of time, and they're going really well, and then something will happen, and then they relapse, and then they're back on that cycle. And the ones that achieve long-term sobrieties are the ones that actually stop trying to get sober and turn their will over to the care.
Yes.
Of God, or as they say in the 12-step recovery program, a higher power of their own understanding. But it's just like this acknowledgement of they can't do it themselves, and that they need something to help them, aka like the higher power,
right.
God, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then they achieve long-term sobriety, and then often they fall off that when they then stop believing or adhering, as you say,
or clinging.
And for me, like that's one of the most tangible examples of actually having a better life.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
To make it really relatable for me anyway.
Which is why it's important that what we're adhering to and what we're clinging to is flawless. And there's only one thing in this history of this world that is attested to that flawlessness and that perfection. That one true influencer, that one true leader, and it's you're not going to find it in Lao Tzu. Confucius, Muhammad. You're not going to find this flawless, perfect influencer in any of these people. Why? They were born of like a father and a woman. They sin. They've had their issues. They're not the way. You know, they're just not. In history, look into history, which is touching upon what we said before about doing basic research, man. It's so straightforward. Everyone knows it, but the thing that stops them is ultimately going to be their self-will.
Well, they don't want to give up lust. They don't want to give up consumerism. They don't want to give up substances. They don't want to give up anger. They don't want to give up hate. Yeah. Myself, and I say all these things because I'm included in that.
Yeah, same.
They don't want to give those things up because, well, what's it satisfying though? Their pride, ego? No,
it feels good. Dude, I remember
temporarily though.
Exactly, just like Macca's, man.
And then you feel like shit afterwards.
Yeah, you end up like I say it like with lollies, just mac out on lollies. Oh, amazing! Oh, dude, you're gonna get sick. It's the same thing.
Teeth rot.
Yeah, it's the same thing, dude. It's like but that's what I'm getting at there is what's really important for people to understand is it's not something that it's a working. That's what I'm saying about that nature change. When you've got when your nature has truly changed, you now have an appetite for righteousness, a true appetite for righteousness. You no longer have beef with Jesus. You no longer have beef with God. You're no longer there trying to justify your own means in order to just move away from that. It's just the case. You're not going to be at war, so to speak, with it. You end up. It's a humility. You end up knowing your true place, knowing where you sit.
On your journey with it over the years, have you had periods of time where you've become wayward?
Yeah.
And do you now, because you have had a taste, or you understand it now?
Yeah.
Is it then followed by feelings of guilt? Does guilt become more predominant?
It's like this. Every day, within every hour, I'm falling short. Okay.
Well, okay.
Because perfection is
every
perfection,
day.
Dude. Think about it. Perfection is perfection. We will never attain. It's an eternal thing.
So progress, not perfection?
It's an eternal thing. Like if I start thinking about what I used to do when I was 17, 18, 20s, the things I've done, that's not perfection. If I'm thinking about it and dwelling upon it, if I'm dwelling upon how I used to be, or if I get angry and say some nasty things to my wife because I'm cut or hurt, dude, I do those things and I've done them. There's a difference though. I realize there's a grieving more, not so much a guilt. There is a guilt and a shame, of course, because I realize how good God is. Like truly good and loving, and I'm there just being a chump. Like I've disappointed my dad. You know, my dad's so good. He's done so much wonderful things for me. He's loved me. He's forgiven me. He's given me a new lease of life. Being suicidal, being depressed, being mentally tormented, being a thief, being a vandal, being someone who wants to just throw his skateboard at someone for looking at me wrong, or just getting in a fight as a kid and wanting a street fight and stuff. Dude, that was my old nature. That's how I rebelled. That's how I acted out. Now I have attributes to want to go that way again if something happens to me, but I'm being influenced by something greater because I'm able to go, you as an influencer are so wonderful and great, and you're actually perfect and truly loving. Therefore, I would rather, and I've seen that, I've tasted and seen that it's good. Therefore, that one touch is just changing my nature, where I second guess what I'm doing, or I stop myself, or I arrest that thought in my head that wants to make me wild out or do something of my old nature. And I no longer have an appetite for it. I'm like, I may go there, dwell there, and then but it just, over time, you're a work in progress. That's what I'm saying to you. I'm adhering and I'm clinging to, therefore I'm producing obedience to the Lord, to the Lord. Understand? So that, because that's what I'm adhering and clinging to. Therefore, this obedience, this true obedience and devotion is being produced, not a have to, must, and if I don't, then I suck and I'm guilty and I'm cast out. It's not like, it's a loving relationship. It's the loving relationship that we've all desired as kids. I desired it from my dad. I still remember looking at my dad and wanting to just hold his muscles and ask him to throw me up on his shoulders whenever I did get to hang out with him, which was very rare. I just would have a love for this guy because I'm a child, and I've got someone who I came from who somehow resembles me as an older, bigger version. Wow, how cool. This is my potential. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yet when that doesn't show its face, when I don't see him, when I do see him, he's the best ever. And then he's just gone for ages. And then I keep hearing nasty things about him because people are bitter at him and this and that. And I realized at the end of it, man, he wasn't around as much as I really, really desired. Okay, fine. But then you end up looking around in the world and going, wow, there's so much more to this place. That took me on that journey. So look, going back to what you said, I do fall short, man. I fall short all the time, but there's a difference. The difference is I seek forgiveness straight away. I'm quick to right my wrongs. If I have to apologize to my daughter, I'll be like, sweetheart, I'm so sorry for yelling at you like that. That was wrong. Can you please forgive me? He's like, yeah, Daddy, I'll forgive you.
You'll say it to your little daughter?
Yeah, man. Yeah, often. And like, you know, because it could be a little thing like I get...
I try to say sorry to my kids too.
Hurry up, put your shoes on, man. Like, why are you always so slow? You shouldn't be that slow. And I start whiling out because I have to deal with this every day. And then I'm like, oh, man, how patient has God been with us throughout the years of me, for example, going out, getting wasted, sleeping with chicks, this and that, being gnarly to people and using women or you know, pornography, just whiling out on someone else's daughter on the screen or whatever, and just all this stuff. I'm like,
so harsh when you say it like that, man.
Well, it's reality, eh? Like all that stuff, that's reality, dude.
Especially as fathers of daughters.
Exactly, dude. We've got to see it that way. Otherwise, we're going to always justify it.
Yeah.
Seriously. And justification just builds the pride.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, okay, I've done all these things. You know, I've gone through like relationships where unfortunately I had to, you know, getting women, you know, pregnant and having to go through the process of, you know, being inconvenienced right now. So therefore let's, you know, terminate a human life. Like, it's so selfish and hideous, the things that I've done, man. It's hideous, dude. And so I fall in the same category as every human being. Now, the difference is this. We've got to be humble enough to realize we stop pushing the blame game and stop justifying and just say, man, according to my life, I'm a wreck, dude. So therefore I've got to, like, hopefully I can be forgiven. Hopefully I can be forgiven. And, dude, the only one who's ever given that access to that love and forgiveness is Christ. It always has been. Who does everyone cry out to the moment the plane's about to come down? Oh, God, help me. Oh, God. Like, we know innately, but pride kicks in, dude. That's what it is at the end. It always will be. I can say that very confidently. I can, you know, but I could boast in it. I could do all that, but it's simply because I end up seeing the wretchedness of my life, and I still see how I could be wretched at times, but not as wretched as I was when I was younger, because it's been a journey of like, dude, this all came about in a big way when I was 25. So I'm 50 now. So it's been a 25-year-long journey, but as I said, dude, every day I'm still thinking, you know, if I still have to arrest, like a police officer arrests someone, I still have to arrest these thoughts that want to go astray in my mind and just remember and be like, dude, you've been forgiven, mate. You've been given grace.
And that gives you peace.
Yeah, you'd be so foolish to just continue to entertain that thought that then turns into an action, that then turns into a consequence, that then can turn into a detriment and a regret and a true sorrow and a grieving. And of course we don't want to go that way.
I meet a lot of people, and I'm also very curious by humans and their behavior. And you're someone that I feel a deep peace from. It comes out of you. You might not recognize it. And also, you the feeling I get from you is that it's like this enrichment. You seem enriched, and I see how you interact with others, and when they're around you, I can see that it comes off on them, and I don't see that with everyone. And obviously, I think maybe it's a byproduct of your faith, and it's been such a gift to you in your life. When you see other people who are living on their own terms and having a difficult time with life, and you want to share your experience with them, but it's just falling on deaf ears, or they're completely cut off to it, like a lot of people. Do you ever get a feeling of frustration or despair?
Yeah, sometimes I get it. But then that's where I'm like saying...
What about with close friends?
Yeah, at times, of course. But that's where I say, you know what, it's not always up to me. God's got work everywhere, man. I'm just a vessel. It's like I'm not playing savior. I'm someone who is just, yes, stoked and hyped and so thankful for the savior. And in turn, that will come off on me, going back to influence and what I'm clinging to and what I'm adhering to. So therefore, that will resonate at times, yes. But I do believe that every human being has something so wonderful and special. That we've all been given gifts. Going back to your creator just ends up bringing out the best of who you are. Just like this microphone we're speaking on. You don't know it the best. Neither does the guy who sells it. It's the one who made it that knows where the metal comes from, the hinges and why this, that, the sound. It's that person that knows the best way to utilize this thing, right? And it's going to take a long time to get to, chew this guy's ear off to know the ins and outs of this microphone. Yeah. It's a journey. And that's what happens spiritually when you get to know your creator. You end up realizing these things start coming out that were a part of you all this time, and they end up like coming out of you in a way. The more you draw closer to God, like that's why the word says, "Draw near to God, and He'll draw near to you." It's like He rubs off on you, and I do sense that when I was younger, even before the whole God thing or whatever, and when I was just Sid running a mark, doing his thing, skating and doing whatever, I still knew innately there was something that I had to offer, okay? And I believe every human being has that. We do. Otherwise, we'd want to, terminate ourselves at very, very young ages, but that doesn't happen because we're so full of love and life and wonder. And I knew that. But then that starts getting shut down and hurt, and we end up getting betrayed, or we end up getting cut or bitter. And these wonderful attributes end up getting closed down. We can become shy or resentful, whatever. But we weren't created to be that way. We were created to be loving one another in community, encouraging one another, celebrating one another's wins, correcting a friend if he's going the wrong way, reprimanding someone out of love. Like, dude, that's not the right way to go, man. Come on. You know what's up. Get with it, So yeah, it's sometimes difficult. And with friends and loved ones, it can be difficult at times, especially because because a lot of my friends, my close friends, they know me, they know the old Sid, they know all that, and we joke about it, we have fun. But I'm thankful that for things like this, we're able to really chat because we're really in each other's lives a lot. So they'll be able to see a whole lot of things. But yeah, more than anything, dude, like my heart is to want to be able to, just love on people and hopefully point them to the right direction, It's good.
How did it feel catching up with old friends like Mick Ewan and Steve Tierney and Mike O'Mealy at dinner last night?
I love it because it's funny. I think it's so interesting that we may not see each other for years, or we've had experiences that just date way back. But then once we're in this group dynamic, we'll suddenly start being able to just throw in these ways of speaking or even old jokes that just pop up that I have not thought of since I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
But funny little names that we'd calls something or someone nicknames this, it just all just pops up like it's just part of the conversation. I find that fascinating because the memories just kicks in and suddenly you're in this dynamic and you just start speaking about times and places where you were at that you have no idea where that's coming from. It's like, but you, because of the dynamic and the context, boom, you just start, and then, no, but this happened. Oh no, you were traveling in this car. And it was, it's fascinating. And it's not like it's premeditated. It just happens. And I'm there going,
so
how
special,
on earth did I remember that? It's so cool. I love it. And it's wonderful because of that special, that bond, that thread of love that we have, that understanding where we just understand one another.
Yeah.
Like yesterday when I was with Mick, and Mick hasn't skated for a while, and I was like, I know so many of his tricks, so many of them. And I'm able to look at the way he is on his board even now, and I could probably tell what he'd be capable of doing, even though he didn't feel too uberly confident on his board at times. But I'm able to sort of go, I know what you'll be able to do now. In my head, I'll be like, hey, Mick, do this.
Although he did do a switch frontside 360 on flat ground.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Yeah, because I saw that. I was like, hey, Mick, switch frontside 360. And he's like, and then I saw him sort of go, oh. And I go, all right, then switch front 180. And then in that, he goes, boom, switch front 360, and he nearly got round to it. Then he came back and he just landed that one that you guys all saw. So, and then I was saying, I told him about these other pressure flips that he used to do, just these goof-off tricks. And he did one of those. But I just found it so fascinating, the understanding of the dynamic that we have in sessions that we've had. We're able to just bring about things within each other.
Yeah.
I still remember a time we were out at Paddington Skate Park in Brizzy, and it was Mick and I sessioning a flat bank, and we were trying, I think Mick, from what I remember, Mick would have been trying nollie hards to fakie. And we got it on, it's somewhere on, maybe on someone's VCR or whatever, and he says, switch hard. But I wasn't probably thinking about it, but he could see that I'd be capable of that because he knew the way I was moving around the park, and he knows what I'm capable of next, so to speak.
Yeah.
So he just calls it. And then I went up, switch hard flip, came in, just like that. Not because it wasn't because I thought about it. It's just that he was able to call it out. He's like, I know what you can do right now. So
it gave you that little bit of confidence, inspiration.
Yeah, because we've spent so much time with each other. You're able to know someone and just say, hey, I know what you're capable of now. Do this. And you go, oh, yeah, it happened. You're like, so all these great little things that just go about. And so, yeah, being there with Steve and Mike, just funny little things that we can just, little bits of banter that we can just muck around with.
That was a lot of laughs.
It's good, man.
Yeah, it's just, again, I've really personally really enjoyed connecting with Steve and spending some time with him. Like him and I were at the skate park together for 6 hours yesterday. We went through all these waves of emotion throughout the day. Like, by the end of the day, like, we're still here, man. Like, we just achieved something together. Like, I haven't been at a skate park for 6 hours for years. But, and I know Mick's the same, but I haven't spent as much time with Mick, but man, he's just such a kind soul. He's really, really empathetic, but, different to me in terms of just emotionally stable. Like, he's just naturally like a very calm character. Yeah. And it's so nice to be around.
Yeah, he's extremely sensible, he's very sound.
Was he always like that? You mentioned earlier, I think.
Yeah. Out of all, especially out of the five of us, he was the one that was most sound.
Was he like the glue that kept everyone together a little bit?
And sensible. I think we all held. There was a common understanding within all of us, I'd say, that held one another down and up in many ways. But I'd say that Mick was definitely the more sensible one. So we'd all be wilding out, when it came to partying and, all types of stuff like that. We'd all be wanting to max out with our lives in different ways.
Gotcha.
We'd all be wanting to, spend a lot of time away from home, or, some of us had more sketchy upbringing, so we'd be out in the streets a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Whereas Mick would always be the one that would be, walking across the main intersection. He'd be waiting at the lights. And we were like, seriously, dude, we're just here to, just bomb some hills.
Yeah.
Mick would walk down the hills and
Press
just be
the button and wait.
Yeah, and just be like chill, just walk and get to a spot and then just skate so phenomenally good, And we'd be there wanting to, live out just some scene out of thrashing or just bombing hills or whatever and just cess sliding and being terrors in the city. And Mick's just there going, oh, dude's so immature.
Yeah.
He's got that mentality of like, grow up. But that's the wonderful thing, because it definitely does cause you to second guess where you're at times,
Interesting.
A funny story. I don't know if I mentioned on the last podcast. Did I mention how Mick got really angry at me?
No, I can't imagine him ever being angry.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He really reproved me.
What'd you do?
So it was raining one time in Pitt Street in the city, and we went to this little undercover spot, Pitt Street. George Street. It was just this marble, just walkway, epic, just to skate. And all we had was, I think it was a milk crate and maybe what do you call those crates? Those
the pallets.
The pallets, yes. And so I think we put a pallet up and we're just doing stuff over it. And Amelia I think it would have been Mike maybe, wanted to shoot a photo, backside kickflip over one. And I think I'm pretty sure it was in, was there a snowboard skate magazine back in the day, Power Edge or something?
No, it was called, oh my God. I had a photo in it. Crank magazine. Simon Grusevich was the editor.
Crank, yeah. So this photo was in there of a backside kicky. But it was funny when I remember, I don't know where that image is these days, but after I did the backside kicky and landed, I was like, all right, I just smashed this wooden crate. I just got all like animal on it and just crushed it and focused it. And Mick went off at me, man.
Why?
He went off.
Why do you want to still skate it?
Well, yeah, me being so selfish and just like I got my thing, and then I'm just going to get gnarly and just start breaking everything because I did it like full ape style, And I just start crushing this thing and breaking it, and then wood chips flying, and I'm just like I think it. And then Mick just comes in and is like, goes off. How selfish of you. What if someone else wants to skate? You're just making a ruckus here and there, blah blah blah. And I'm just there going, oh man, I feel like such a chump. And he was so right. I was just so humbled. But
True.
He just came in and just was like, how selfish of you, and also how destructive and how.
Yeah.
It was late at night. It probably would have been about.
But he seems like a really patient.
12 or something.
He seems like such a patient soul. Like you're cooking out if he feels inclined to call you out.
Yeah. Because in that dynamic, I think within a guy's context, it might be like, laugh, because you're probably. This guy's too gnarly to sort of like say anything right now or try and reprimand him because he's just going off on one, which I was. But Mick knows that, Mick loves me and I love him. So he's going to say, because I love you, you're an idiot right now. I was like,
how'd you respond to him? Did you take it?
I was probably trying to justify it a bit and be like, chill out or whatever. But really, it's good. You need friends to be able to like kick you in a gear if you're cooking out. That's what a friend does.
For sure. So tell us again, so everyone knows, like, why are you in Sydney at the moment? So you've come down from Brisbane.
Yes. So I'm here painting two murals, one of Dave Grohl and one of Taylor Swift for a big music chain.
Firstly, like, I'm stoked that you're doing Dave Grohl. Who doesn't love Dave Grohl if they're in their 40s? My daughter will be stoked you're doing Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift. I do know just one of her songs because my daughters.
Which one?
My daughters don't get into her at all.
Don't they?
No,
which one do you know? What's the song you know?
Shake It Off.
Shake It Off.
Yeah.
Is that the one that says haters gonna hate, hate, hate?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a good message.
Catchy. It's catchy.
It's got a good
And that's the
old
only
fashioned
song I
message.
know. And but I do know how phenomenal she is as an artist and a worker. It's outstanding how someone can be that popular and that phenomenal. It's like it takes a lot of work, and I'm like, that's awesome. So doing her and Dave Grohl, it was a real interesting one because they wanted. The brief was to paint them showing their instruments. So playing guitar or whatever, right? So if you think about someone playing an instrument, it's quite a vertical thing, right? From the head to the instrument. Like
Gotcha.
if you're going to paint that, you're going to want more of a vertical wall.
Okay.
But the two walls that I've been given are horizontal. So I'm thinking, oh man, if you make it too small, then it loses its impact.
Okay.
If you make the mural, if you make the subject too small to fit it loses its impact because it's not. What makes a mural effective is that it's larger than life. That's what causes people to be like, oh wow, look at that, it's a lot bigger than normal life. So that was interesting. So what that meant was I had to go through so many photos to find something that would fit on a horizontal wall. So I was literally going through Taylor Swift photos for about 2 hours, and that lady has an untold amount of photos online. It's outstanding. And even within that, I found it extremely difficult to find something that could be composed within a horizontal wall that would be her playing an instrument. But got round to it, so yeah, that's what's making happen now.
I wonder what life's like being that recognizable.
Oh yeah,
It'd be
pressure.
such a strange life.
Oh yeah, I've thought about it over the last few days with people that are that influential. Imagine stepping into their brain for like an hour. It'd be an overload. You'd probably just go insane.
Well,
It's definitely a working to build up to that.
Everything would have to be considered.
Oh yeah,
Every aspect of your life.
yeah.
I just want to run out the front and get a coffee.
Yeah.
Do I need a security guard to come with me because I'm going to get some crazy van or something? I don't know.
Totally. You'd want a lot of things shut out. You'd probably want other people to deal with that because imagine like the threats, the fanaticism.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to be looking at that. Obviously, there's probably going to be other people safeguarding that, other shield bearers that are going to have to be taking care of that in order for you to have some sort of peace within your own world.
Yeah.
It'd be very, very, very full on.
Yeah, when you're in Sydney at the moment and you've spent, most of your life in Sydney, after being in Brisbane now for how long, a year?
Just over a year and a half.
What's your observation on that transition?
Being here after a few months away, I'm obviously very familiar with it. I look around seeing what has changed, like just when it comes to the environment, see a few new things, freeways, all that sort of stuff going up. But I'm still, it's like I'm still very familiar with it, and I don't see too much of a change. It's lovely being back, but I don't know.
You're still happy with your decision.
Yeah. I'm still happy because I didn't do it predominantly for me. A lot of it was based around the girls, like wanting to get them in a great school because we realized they're young, they got a whole lot of schooling to go in towards. So let's get to a school that is extremely sound and well and, tributes to excellence. That's what we're going to spend a lot of our time on as parents. And so we trust that we'll remain diligent within that environment. And it was exciting as well because we're so familiar with Sydney. I became extremely familiar to the point where I found it quite tiresome and slow in a way, and people say, oh, it's so fast paced. And honestly, I just feel like it isn't because I'm so familiar with it and it's become very predictable.
Got you.
So to get out of that comfort zone and go into something completely different with more space has been exciting. And
what happens when that gets mundane?
Yeah, well, that's where
you'll address that when you come to that, right?
Yeah, well, that's where the creative thing comes into play. It's like, okay, what can I get out of that? If it's mundane, then what can I get out of this that's going to, be exciting or creative? So what can I create? What can I go paint? Or what can I where can I take the girls, or where can we go together? Let's all think about something great we can all do, because there's so much more space over there.
Yeah.
And it's new territory. You can go up north to the sunny coast for an hour. You can go down south to the Goldie, or you can go a little further down to Byron or Noosa, a little further up north. And then you can go inland. So there's a lot to explore, which is exciting, especially when you're surrounded in Sydney. I've been surrounded by buildings and cement, and here it's like, man, there's so many trees over there. It's wonderful. Yeah. So it's good to come back. I'm coming back again in mid-March to April. I've got a very big job coming up.
Okay.
Like it's going to take about maybe 2.5 weeks. So that's as cool as it may sound. You could probably hear in my voice I'm not too hyped. I'm hyped on the job, but not so hyped on being away from the family.
And that was you're just like the perfect guest, because you just answered the questions that I'm about to ask. Like, yeah, like, I know for me personally, when I'm away from my children for any amount of time, I find it really challenging. I just long for them. Yeah, I mean, how are you managing that? I'm obviously on the phone every day.
Yeah, staying focused on the job, being excited about what I do enjoy doing, which is lovely. Like once we finish here, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to get to the wall and pull the paints out and start painting something.
Gotcha.
Interacting in that environment and appreciating it for what it is. And then and then I'll be tired, then I'll be like, okay, time to crash out. But within that, the girls are texting me, or I'm texting them little selfies of what daddy's doing, and being, whether it's goofing off or just sending them love and being lovely with them. That's wonderful. So yeah, thank God for technology and FaceTime, all that sort of stuff.
Oh man, how good is that?
So good, yeah. So that's how I go about it, and yeah, but at the same time, there is that sort of like, it's such a weird thing. We're so interesting, I find, as people, because then sometimes when we're with them, we're going, oh my gosh, dude, chill, or just stay there. It's like we're so hard to please at times. We can be so self-centered, as people. Yeah, we are hard to please, aren't we? Yeah, we really are.
Yeah, it's like I long for my kids, and then when they're with me, it's just usually just me and them, and I just like sometimes I just get so exhausted.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just leave me alone for a minute. I just, but then then I don't want to be away from it. It's like, I can't win.
Yeah.
Never happy. No, I am happy a lot, but. Well, listen, man, I know you've got a big day on and you got stuff to do, but I don't know. It's so great catching up with you, man.
Love it, Shannon.
Yeah. That croissant this morning. Wow.
Home croissant tear.
I'm going to shout them out. They deserve a shout out.
They deserve it. Darling Street, Balmain.
So again, you must just appreciate anyone that that food, those croissants were just, it was just like food passion personified.
Yeah.
You could see the love and the commitment that has gone into creating these things.
Yeah, man.
So admirable.
And the flavors, it is. It's like you're eating artwork. It's so good.
You're eating artwork.
It's so good.
So true.
Yeah. Well, art is everything, really. Everything's a creation, so therefore it's been created. So yeah,
you love that call.
You love that. Yeah, and I say it often.
I've noticed,
because I really have a desire for people to get closer to their creator. That's why I say it. I'm intentional with what I say, because there's this desire in me to sort of say, dude, I know how good it is, man. I know.
I know you know. That's what I mean. It must get frustrating.
And it's not because it's not because, hey, I'm smart and this and that. No, it's just that we all have a taste. We all have an understanding.
Come hang.
But
come hang. It's good over here.
It's so good, dude. Just don't get led astray by the people that represent it bad. Like you got these certain televangelists or certain churches where people, leaders or whoever just give it a bad example. I'm like, you're not called to follow. It's like it's like going to a skate park and going, oh no, skating sucks because there was a dude skating there and he looked really good, but then he snaked me and then he called me a kook and he told me to get out of the park. Oh yeah, skating sucks. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that if you really wanted to skate. You'd overlook that guy and be like, oh, obviously this guy doesn't truly skate or know skateboarding.
Yeah.
So you'd be smarter to overlook that. Same with life, dude. That's why I say keep your eyes on the true prize. Like keep your eyes on Christ. That's why he says, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. It's like straight up, dude. He's not the poser. He's not. Don't look at all the kooks that are kooking it out, whatever. We're all kooks. We're all kooking it out. So it's like,
You're born a kook, you die a kook. Yeah?
so we got to be like, okay, get to that creator. Going back, go to that creator and really, discover the purpose and plan that the creator had for your life. And it's a longevity. It's eternal.
But early on in your journey with this, were you shy or embarrassed to tell people?
Yes and no.
Like because of fear of judgment?
Yeah, yes and no at times. And it still creeps up every now and then.
Yeah.
But when I first came out on that skate, I think it was ASM,
Australian Skateboarding.
Australian Skateboard magazine.
Yeah.
I got Sean Holland asked me to do an interview, had some photos with Curtis. And he's like, and I said, hey man, I said to
Shout out
Sean.
Curtis Marr.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I said to Sean, hey, I want to get the word interview and give you an eternal view of who I am. So he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I'd like to write down what I view internally. That's what an interview is.
Yeah.
So he's like, cool. So I wrote down what I wrote down in the magazine. And a lot of it was me, what I was going through at that time. I'd really come to know truth and God, and I'd repented, and I didn't want to live the life I was living. And I'm like, I'm on this new adventure, this new journey. I want to explore more. And I told people about it in this interview. And I was so called like coming out, just telling people. And there was a lot of backlash in that. And it felt awkward. But at the same time, it was legit. So it's kind of like, well, hey, man, like, I'm not going to shut down what I've got burning inside. I can't. Like, you can't shut down a fire that's burning inside you if it's burning. So I'd have to sort of just roll with the punches at times. And I didn't have anyone around me sort of helping me out with this stuff. I was just sort of navigating on my own in a way. But in truth, what's actually happening is I do have this spirit I've got this spirit. It's called like a spirit of adoption. I've been adopted by my father. He's adopted me, so he's looking out for me regardless of my circumstance of being by myself in the city, people calling me out. I remember going into ASM after the interview came out because I wanted to go get a few issues of the magazine. I walk upstairs and there was a surf magazine being done out of the same building at the same time. And I walked upstairs, I come into the room, and this one dude at the desk just lashes out, effing Christians or something like this.
What?
And he just got up and he left the office. I just walked in. And I'm like, man, that sucks, dude. Because now but this is the thing. I now look back at that and I go, man, he's had a bad experience with someone who represented what's good. Like, because when you look at Christ, you can't pay out on anything about him.
But I feel like a lot of people have bad experiences with churches.
Yeah, because it's hypocrisy.
And
dude.
then
Some of them are
just link that with the word.
Yeah.
Or, and it's like, it's humans not gathering together. It's, I don't know.
It's like, I'm not, like if it was, I understand why you can get offended. And going back to that skate park analogy thing is like, it's like going to a skate park and saying, this guy offended me at the skate park, therefore skating sucks. Effing skaters. They're all a bunch of punks. They're all a bunch of rude, arrogant,
But the actual art of skateboarding.
Exactly. And if you look at the one
same.
Exactly. And if you look at the people that do it so well with so much passion and love, great. Focus on that.
Yeah.
Dude, strive to look at that and go, wow. Like I look at people like, say, I look at guys like, Phil Mackey, Michael Davidson, Mick Ewan, Steve Teeney, Guy Mariano, Anthony Van Engelen, say Danny Way. I look at these guys and the way they skate, and I see things within their skateboarding, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I love it, and it influences me.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to go to any of those people and say, now I'm going to look at everything about you on how to live life and life to the fullest, well, hey, maybe I better step back. I'm going to need someone else to maybe look at. I'll look at them, and there'll be sounding boards where I resonate with some of them out of friendship, which is why it's so important to be able to resonate and get truths from them and come to an understanding. But I have to have a basis of where am I basing that ultimate truth? Who's my main sounding board? Where am I getting this true source of truth in human character? And that is ultimately from the greatest human being ever, who is flawless. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know? And then use that as a foundation to then be able to do life with other people. So that's where I'm there going, okay, you know, if someone comes at me and I feel embarrassed, or if someone's like, you know, shaming me out, whatever, dude, it happens. Happens in all different cultures as well. If you're really wanting to aspire to something, you're going to have people cut you down. You go to a local skate park, and you're just a new kid, you're going to get the locals that are going to be like, hey, you know, trying to put you in your place or whatever, or maybe just showing up and you have to sit back. It's going to happen. But when it comes to life and character and truth, these things are far greater. They far outweigh all the other things. So that's why it's important. Character and humanity, keep your eyes on the best. And in turn, let that sort of, what's the word? Like, to let that resonate out of you and be your sounding board. Like, you've got to have a strong anchor.
Yes.
You've got to have that strong anchor and live out of that.
There you go.
Live out of it, not be internalized. See, some people, some Christians, they just stay in church
and not try to people please.
Yeah. People pleasing sometimes is just you trying to cloak something because you don't want to be offended, or you don't want to be called out in some way. It's like, well, no, if you're confident in whose you are, not who you are, in whose you are.
Yeah.
Like I know that I don't say, oh, well, I'm a successful artist, or I'm a good skateboarder, I'm a, whatever. I don't want to be puffed up in that pride. I want to say, okay, whose am I? Who do I belong to? If I belong to the King, if I belong to God, if I am his child, if I believe that I am that, then I'm going to conduct myself accordingly to you, because I see you as someone who is made in the image and likeness of God. So I'm going to respect you as well. And I'm going to respect the next person and the next person, even if they hurt me, even if they want to badmouth me, if they're enemies. That's why Christ says, love your enemies, pray for those who do wrong by you, do good unto those. And it's important we do that. Why? Because we've done wrong to others as well. You don't fight fire with fire, you fight fire with water. Water is like that prayer, that love, that, hey man, you hurt me so bad, but I can kind of understand, I'm sorry, or maybe you didn't do anything wrong. But they're angry. It's like, man, I hope we can see eye to eye, because I ought to love you. Yeah. You are special to so many other people, maybe not to me right now. You hate me right now. That's all good. But, dude, you're made in the image and likeness of God. So who am I to want to condemn you right now? Because I'm just as flawed as you could be at times. So I hope we can see eye to eye in that way.
I love that, though. You don't fight fire with fire, you fight fire with water. Sorry, that just really sat with me. It's good. Yeah. Sid.
Ripper, brother.
Legend. All right. You done? We good? You feeling good?
Yeah, bro.
Anything else you want to end on?
It's so rad that we can finally hang.
I know, man.
After all this time that we can actually meet in person, or not so, like we met obviously years back probably, like. Yeah. But yeah, to be able to see where we're at now and to hang, it's
listen, man, we've
wonderful.
had a lot of really good conversations over the last, I don't know, almost a year, I guess. It's been a while. But I just, I'll take the moment to say thanks. Like, even today, like, you know, the time and your time and energy and passion, it's quite life-changing. I mean, and it has been very profound on me, actually. And I just want to acknowledge that. So thanks, brother.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's awesome. It's an honor to be put in a position to do something of that value. You know, it really is, because obviously, bro, I wouldn't think about it, man. We've got to be honest. If we were talking and we're in our 20s, we would not be having this conversation. I'd probably be more focused on me and how to promote me or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas now we've gone through our journeys and we're here. I'm humbled to be able to not be all me, but be like all love and Christ and all this, you know, and I'm unashamed and it's good, you know. So I want to leave. You said, you know, I want to say to my friends, to my loved ones, and even the people that aren't listening to this, there's something within me that just really looks at humanity and men, especially in general, because I'm a man, so I can identify in this sense, to really be okay with knowing that you can easily be defeated, but we have that potential to man up. Like, we really do, man. The reason there's so many contentions and wars and fights a lot of the time is because men are dropping the ball at home when it comes to their wives or their children, loving their wives accordingly, honoring them as a vessel of honor, romancing them, romancing their wives, spending time putting them like going for coffee dates, having date nights, taking their children on date nights, or, you know, spending that valuable time of manning up, understanding what a true man is. And I put that challenge out to all my friends listening that have probably listened this far. I'd really put that challenge out, not because Sid says or whatever, because Sid doesn't say that. Sid back in the day would have been just all about himself and how good he's, you know, just driven off ego. But I'm saying that because I see that the changes that have been made in my heart is because I'm knowing my true father. Therefore, I'm getting a great example of fatherhood. Therefore, that's resonating and I'm adhering to that. I'm clinging to it, and it's rubbing off on me. And you see the fruit. You see the fruit. And I want to put that challenge out to my friends, my loved ones, to know that it's not too late, whether you're divorced or whether you think you got to get on your knees and repent, dude, and just be like, I'm sorry, I just wanting to do this life all on my own. If you're out there, help me. Just, you know, get to that breaking point and realize that we're just as screwed as one another. You don't sit differently because of, well, no excuse, man. We're flawed. We need to come to this position of humility and say, Lord, you are out there, or Lord, if you're out there, please come in and help. Man up. Seriously, like, man up, gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Man up, dude.
Amen.
The potential's there. It's all there. I could drive this home, but I'll say it because it's of such value, and I know it's resonating to someone out there. So I really just put that out there to anyone listening. Just really man up, and as we man up, what happens in return? The male-female dynamic. For females, I look at my wife and I see a woman who is, yes, she's beautiful, but yes, she's got this light. She's loving. She's selfless. She loves her husband. She goes about doing her thing, but she wants to come back and say, yes, Sid, I want some romance time with you. I want to hang out with you. She'll deliberately do that because she's nurturing that garden.
Okay.
You know, but why is she wanting to nurturing it? Also because she sees that she's got a man that's all about her. My affections are all towards her. I'm able to control and discipline this mind, then so be it onto her. Okay. I'm not going to grow wayward and go towards some other woman or flirt with some other chick that gives me attention, or flirt with some other woman on a screen. No, I'm going to man up and become the man I need to be for the woman that I need to be. If you want a special woman, you got to bring out the special man in you. Like attracts like.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So look at the wind. Look at the wind and the way it blows on some cigarette butts in a gutter. The wind blows and everything of the same weight gathers together. The wind blows and all the leaves of the same weight all gather in one part of the corner of that building because the wind blows in that direction. It's blowing everything of the same weight together. So spiritually speaking, as a man and a woman, as if you are of one accord and you're in agreement towards one another, if you're yoked the same way, you're going to grow and flourish the same way because you're of the same
You'll
weight.
naturally move together.
Yeah.
So it will be effortless.
Yeah. Think of this, right? Think of a triangle, okay?
Yeah.
You've got the top at the peak, okay? You've got, let's say, the light, right? You've got God, basically. So you've got Christ, the center of it all, right? At the top. Now go down to the bottom of the triangle on either end. There's 2 points, right? Yeah. 2 points either end. Say that's you and say that's someone else. What's going to happen if you both head towards the light? What's happening to the two of you? You're drawing closer and closer together all the time.
Yeah.
You're always going to be drawing closer and closer together as you navigate towards the truth, okay? Towards the truth. So seek truth, seek truth, seek integrity, seek honesty, seek love, okay? Yes, it's all personified in Christ.
Yeah.
We know that. But it's such a vast expansion. It's such a huge thing to explore.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong, it's actually an eternal journey.
Yeah.
So, so think about it. As you're both traveling together towards that common goal, you're going to be drawing closer together like a triangle. If one person falls astray, then the distance, you start thinking differently. That's why it's so important to renew your mind, to always guard the heart, guard your heart with all your soul and strength.
But everything you're saying, you hear so many couples having issues saying that, whether they believe in God or not, they're like they can't, the biggest one is, oh God, we can't communicate, because their perception of this experience is different because they're on different levels or different journeys or being, as you say, blown in different directions, and then they just can't relate.
They're different
all of a sudden it's like, I won't say that, but you often hear couples go it's like he's speaking a different language. I just don't understand how he sees the world.
But that's just it. As you're traveling, if one person falls down,
yes,
we don't go, hey, get back up here. Sometimes we have to come down to get back up.
Okay.
We have to humble ourselves and serve the weaker one. Serve the weaker one in order to bring them up. Okay.
Yeah, see, it's funny because I've really thought a lot about this, being a child of divorced and divorced myself. I think so many of society's problems start in the household. Yeah. And the quality of the relationships that children are witnessing in the household as a child, and then they mimic those relationships as they go on. And, they're so powerful, these dynamics, that they can cause so much hurt, and then hurt people. Then those hurt children turn into adults, and then they have relationships, and then they hurt someone in that relationship emotionally. And then the cycle continues, and it's I feel like our societies get sicker and sicker and sicker, and then that leads into crime, abuse, violence, substance abuse, So you're right. I think people really underestimate how important their relationships are. In my opinion, it all comes back to relationships, whether it's intimate, whether it's friendships, professional. Quality relationships is the core. Is at the core of everything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's
observation.
A wonderful thing I heard. Hopefully, this drops on good ears. Is that you take a tree out of the earth, it dies. Right? You take fish out of water, they die. You take a human life away from God, the spirit of love, the spirit of truth. What's going to happen? Falls into sin. Falls into self-harm, substance abuse, whatever, all these things. dude, you got to get back to the source, the creator. The creator knows the creation best. Like I can't emphasize that enough, man. And
I've noticed.
And it's forgiveness as well, dude.
Yeah.
If I do wrong by you, Shannon, I've got to seek your forgiveness, man. We have fallen short and done wrong by the love and standard and perfection of God. We have all rebelled. We've all turned our backs and said, nah, to hell with God. God doesn't even exist. God is not even this. To hell with Christ. We put Christ on a cross and crucified him. Like that's how wretched we are as a human race, that we would put a blameless, spotless man that was prophesied from long ago to be this Messiah that's going to redeem man and put them back into fellowship with God. We are so caught up in ourselves that we would crucify someone like that and want to be stoked about it. That's what we do as a human potential, basically. And to this day, people are still like wanting to while out on that. That just shows the level of our depravity. So that's where we got to go, dude. I am not worthy, but you still love me? Please forgive me. That's a humility.
Yeah.
And that key is the beginning of eternal life. That key is the beginning of the openness and this undeniable love, this grace. It's just, it's where it's at.
Dude, it's just
where it's at. Always has been.
Just like I must admit, it's almost entertaining and just like really like satisfying almost. Just, I mean, I wish people, because this is an audio podcast, I wish people could sort of just see your face as you speak about these things and literally like some light that comes out of you. And I can't deny it. I've seen it over the years with Christians and then would mock them for it. And I used to mock my mother for it heavily. And and I used to get frustrated with it because like whenever there was a problem in life, she's like, oh, just turn it over to God and it'll be okay. And I'm like, oh, Mom, like that's not going to solve this. Yeah. She's like, no, like, you know, it'll be okay. Just and I watched the things that she's endured in her life. You know, she's an elderly woman now. And she's just done it with so much peace and grace and she's like lack of bitterness. Like, and she's evolved into this elderly woman who's just kind and beautiful and not bitter. And she has so many reasons to be bitter, you know? Yeah. And again, it's like taken me all these years to understand her. Like I feel like I'm starting to understand her. And it's just undeniable over the years. Like, and I said it in our last podcast, like the people I meet that seem to be doing life the best maintain a consistent and deep faith. It's just really like, I can't pretend like that's not a common theme.
We all have faith, like as a human, like we're all built like.
Do you think?
Yeah, because some people have faith that God doesn't exist. You know, we all got it. We all believe. You know, some people have true faith that they can do life without God. That's their faith. That's what they believe. That's what they're adhering to. That's what they're clinging to. Therefore, they're obedient to that way of thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm saying. And what is the basic call is place that faith in the one that's perfect. Like place the faith in something that isn't going to crumble and fall apart.
Yeah, okay.
Because our own understanding will crumble and fall apart. If I believe I can do life without my creator, it's like saying I believe I can be a tree without having my roots planted in good soil and I'm going to flourish and do well. It's not going to happen.
No.
You'll be producing weird fruit or you'll wither and die, basically. So, we all have faith. So I'm saying put your faith in the right place. Like get grounded in the right area, the rock. That's why Jesus says, I am the rock.
Okay.
That's why he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He's saying he's the life source. Get grounded and rooted in him. And then from that, you'll flourish and grow and produce the right fruit. You know, you'll be you. You'll be Shannon. You'll be Sid. You'll be Tom. You'll be, Harry, whoever. You'll be that amazing human being, but to its fullest potential. Why?
Yeah.
Because the Creator gets the creation, says, you've come back to me now. Awesome, man. Now this is what you were designed for. This is why you have these thoughts. This is why you have these aspirations. This is why you have these hopes, these dreams, these longings, these fears, all these things, because I created you. Therefore, now go and because you're spending time with me, because you love me, because you want to hang with me, all that. I sit here 25 years later, dude. Think about it, 25 years later, and I'm still just as zealous, just as open about it.
Stoked, frothing on it.
Exactly, dude, because it's life, dude. Christ said he came to give life and life to the fullest. And you can slay me, you can kill me, you can chop me down, but you can't kill the essence, you can't kill the soul, so to speak.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's love, man. I want to shout out to my friends. I love them, like my friends so much. My skateboarding friends, they're so rad. And my heart's for them. And I love how loving they are towards me as well. I've had a lot.
Have you had people just reject you because of it and just not want to hang out?
But my friends that may not that obviously aren't as zealous as what I am or whatever, they're still like, dude, that's Sid. Yeah, sick. That's Sid. Like, great. Like that's love.
No judgment.
Because I'm not there to want to tell them repent or burn or something like that. No, I'm just there saying, look, this is where the journey's at.
Yeah.
That's acceptance. That's love. That's great. That's how it ought to be. We've got to walk with one another on that journey. And I've got so much love for my friends because I grew up with them a lot. They've been my role models in many ways.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have mentors and guys growing up. So I would actually look to my friends for living examples of what it could be to be a man or a good athlete or whatever. That inspire me a lot because I didn't have much to attribute to out in the streets that much. So,
many. It's funny how so many people in that predicament are drawn to skateboarding. It's like such a common theme.
Yeah.
Well,
right,
man,
brother.
if you scroll down in this episode's show notes, you'll find links to Sid's work, Sid's website, his gallery. Go and check out his stuff. You'll be inspired and amazed. And I'll also put a link to Sid's Instagram because he obviously posts a lot of his work on there as well. It's pretty iconic and it's mesmerizing. So, Mr. Sid Tapia, everybody.